Hi, everybody. This is Lisa from Skeins. I'm trying a little experiment. I've had a tough time getting back into the habit of filming and editing and uploading. So I think I'm going to just do the show live. I'm still going to try to maintain that every 2 week schedule. So here we go. This one's going to be a little awkward because it's my first live in a very long time. But let's see how it goes. So the first thing I wanted to show you guys, I finished my Tolsta tea. I haven't even taken a picture of me in it yet. So I will be putting that up on my blog this week, and I will put a post here in the community tab when it's up and ready to go. But I can show you the finished object. I am so happy with the way this fits. So here's my Tolsta tea. Let me see if you can see it up. Really way back on the sofa. I love the color. Um, I thought this was a really well done pattern. If you want to make a nice top down raglan with some basic shaping, the only real shaping I did was vertical bust darts, and they were part of the instructions in the pattern. I thought it made things fit so nicely. I did make some choices about what I wanted to do with the edges because it's a plain tee. Hello. Let's see. It's nice that someone's joined me. Hi. I just turned on. Oh, hello. Welcome. I just turned on the comments so I can see if you guys say anything. I haven't got my setup all worked out yet for doing live. So if you see me looking around like this, I'm looking around my microphone so I can see my computer screen. But yes, I absolutely love this. I like the weight it has when you put it on. It's not like super heavy or anything, but I did this in Fibro Natura cotton, radiant cotton. And oh, it feels great on. It's silky and smooth. So one of the things I did, just my own decision, was to create a rolled neck. I just thought it looked really nice, and it went well with the casual feeling of the shirt. So I did rolled neck, a rolled edge on the neck. I did rolled edges on the sleeves because you know what, I ribbing looks nice. Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to put my phone on silent. Like I said, this one's gonna be a little awkward, but we're gonna get it done. I decided to do a rolled hem on the sleeves too because ribbing doesn't really do much for cotton. It's not gonna. It will expand, but it's never gonna contract all the way. So the ribbing is just a habit for me, and so I decided to cap it off with that rolled edge, and I think that looks so nice in cotton. And I think it makes the ribbing look very neat. And on the bottom, I didn't want the roll, so I did a turned hem on the bottom, and I thought it gave a really nice, neat finish. And I'll hold it up really close so you guys can see. Turning the hem, easy process. What you do is you knit to the point where you want the garment to end, and then you knit a turning row. And for me, all I did was I purled through the back loop, and I thought it gave a nice clean edge. And then I just knit 5 more rows. Is it 5? I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I lied 7 more rows, and that turning ridge made it turn nice and neat and clean. The only place I had a bit of an issue was securing that extra inch or so of hem to the back. My first thought was to graft it. Holy Moses, it was slow. I kid you not. I felt like I was never, ever, ever going to finish. So I was like, okay, I got to do something else. And then I thought, oh, I can crochet. Why didn't I crochet it? And it still took a while, but it was faster, way faster than grafting. So if you see, I got a nice, neat ridge of single crochets on the back, and that's holding it secure to the back of the shirt. So I crocheted through my live stitches and bound them off at the same time. Now, if I had grafted it, it would have been pretty much completely invisible on the front. It's not as invisible on the front because I crocheted it. So there is a little line that you can see, but that troubles me not at all. I haven't even blocked her yet. So for blocking, I'm gonna put this in the washing machine and then put it in the dryer. And that's how I'm gonna block it. But overall, I am super, super happy with how this came out. So I finished that really about 2 weeks ago. So you know I have another project going, right? Let me see if I can find my swatch. Now, would I have been wise to take it out from dig it out from the bottom of my knitting bag before I started? Yeah, sure. Ah, here it is. I am making the Otahite cardigan by Tian Connaughton. It's in her book, Cardigans for Everybody. Sorry, it's a reversed. And one of my things for 2026 is that I want to knit primarily from my stash. Am I taking a vow not to buy any yarn for the rest of the year? No, because I know some pretty skein is going to turn my head, but I'm going to go to my stash first to find yarn before uh, going out and buying new yarn. So with that, I was like, all right, let me start here and now. So the Ulta High Take cardigan. Let's see if I can show you guys a quick picture. Oh, here we go. It's that one. It's stripy. I thought it was like super cute. I took inspiration from the stripes, especially since I'm working from my stash. I figured that striping would be a great tool to use to maximize the yarn I had. So my first choice of yarn was this one. I love the colors. I love the slight halo. This is Barocco Topaz in the colorway 1217. I know, sexy, sexy name, right? Hey, thank you for joining us. Now, it was a worsted weight, so it set the tone for how I would deal with this. I decided to use all worsted weights or make my yarns worsted weights. So, unfortunately, I only had three skeins of this, but I was determined to use it anyway because I love the colors. The colors in this yarn really inspired all the other choices I made. So I went back digging through the yarn and I found that I had some of this. This is another Barocco yarn. It is Barocco Ultra Wool. If you notice, it's Barocco Ultra Wool Fine. So that is a fingering weight. But da, 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 I had a mohair. So I decided, all right, I'm going to hold this fingering and mohair together and see how they play in my swatch. finally I wanted to pop some of this salmon out of here. So I had this. Now, I can't even tell you where I got this yarn, but I got a whole bag of it. And novelty yarns like this always turn my head, but it's hard for me to figure out what to do with them. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but I thought it was the perfect shade to mix in with some of this other stuff. Now, this yard happens to be a chunky, but I was like, okay, let me see what I can do if I can get these yarns to play together. And here is my swatch. I found when I worked them all together on a US 6 needle, actually not even a US 6, a 6 millimeter needle, pardon me. Actually, no, I'm lying again. The 6 millimeter was the first needle I tried. It was too loosey goosey for my taste. So I switched down to a 5.5 millimeter needle. And when I got this fabric, I couldn't have been happier. I loved making this work out like this. So I decided, I played around for a while with my striping sequence. Let's see. Instead of knitting a million swatches, I actually wrapped the yarn I was considering around a popsicle stick. See, this is one of my alternate colorways. So I chose the colors first, and then I played with the proportions by wrapping different amounts of yarn around my popsicle sticks to see, I have more of some yarns and less of others, so I knew I would have to do stripes of uneven widths just to make my numbers work out. But just to kind of see it together, this is something you could do. You know, popsicle sticks, you could wrap them around a piece of cardboard in the proportion that you do the yarn in. So what I have the most of is this baby blue Barocco Ultra Wool and mohair. So as you see, I'm using it more than I'm using the other yarns. I have only 3 skeins of the Barocco Topaz, so I'm using it less. And I have scads of jewel, so I'm using that pretty often to just expand out my swatch. And because the stitches are kind of getting squashed down on that 6 millimeter needle, it just gives a little bit of zigzagginess to the stitches in jewel because it's a thick and thin kind of yarn. It's actually still connected to my piece. So I liked that I was getting a lot of interest for not a lot of drama. And I also realized, yeah, man, you're gonna have a lot of ends when you're done with this because I'm cutting the yarn because it wouldn't be feasible to carry it up the side because my stripes are so far apart. So what I decided to do was this. I am catching the yarn as I go on each row, and when I have a too short an end to catch, I will just cut that off. So I'm not doing the weaving Steven. It's more like how you catch the yarn when you're doing a float. It actually does make a float. And that's what I'm going to do to take care of all the ends. So your swatch does a lot for you, not just getting the gauge, but also you can make decisions about how you're going to handle things that you see arising as you work the swatch. And I think I ended up doing this swatch for about 40 to 45 stitches and about 35, 45 rows. I can't remember at the moment. I'd have to get my notes out to tell you. But once I was happy with the order of my stripes, I was able to wash and block this swatch. And that was important too because I'm using so many different yarns and I was very suspicious of jewels. So I soaked it just to make sure jewels wouldn't run on everything else. So your swatch is your friend in a lot of ways. So I ended up with a swatch that worked up to about 4 point, let's say 4.6, 4.7 stitches per inch. So it actually goes pretty fast on 6 millimeter needles. Pardon me, on 5.5 millimeter needles. So this is what I've got so far. I had to put in a little landmark there, but I am so excited about wearing this at Vogue in January. This is going to be my go to Vogue sweater. You can see it's knit sideways, and I've worked my way across the back already, and I've started the second front. So I'm back up. You can see it. Absolutely love it. And so far, my yarn estimates, I have no worries about yarn chicken. So I'd love to hear. Oh, hello! I just started seeing the comments. Oh, mom and Chris are doing great. Thank you for asking. Hey there. But for those who just got in, I'm going to be doing the podcast live more often than not. I'm trying to streamline everything, and doing it live means I don't really have to edit the video, and that just takes a lot of hours out of making the videos. But that's what I'm working on right now. And if I play my cards right, there might be a matching skirt. But we'll see how that goes. Like I said, this one's going to be a little awkward. I'm going to get used to setting up for live. But what I want everybody to think about is what yarns can you combine? One of the things I decided was I'm going to work at a worsted weight. So I did whatever I needed to do to make my yarns compatible at a worsted weight. And what you're looking for when you make your swatch is that you end up with a smooth fabric. That's not like super lumpy bumpy unless you want it to be because this yarn is also a thick and thin. So although it looks smooth here, you can see there are some stitches that are bigger, but that's a design feature. And once I was happy with the fabric, I was ready to go with casting on my sweater. But that's where I'm at. Also, I am going to be teaching a live class on this particular sweater. So I'm making one also that will be our class sample. If you're interested in hearing about that class, it's going to be a live class local to me, and I have the details about it up on my website, uh, lisagtopping.com. And I will fill in this, all that information in the description bar. But that's pretty much it for me. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will, make announcements about when the lives will be so people will know. I've just gotten it set up today, so we'll we're just going with it, however it comes out. Um, Happy holidays to everybody that celebrates, and a happy new year because that's when I'll be seeing you guys again. Bye bye. See you too.